Hi, it's Alyssa. I am here with your reading. I hope you're doing well today. So this is your spread. I have pulled a row of cards for each of your questions here. We have tarot cards, of course, and oracle cards as clarifiers for each question. What we're going to do is just go through these one question at a time, card by card. I will show you each one as we get to it. I will talk about what it means, how it relates to the question, and also any intuitive feelings or messages that are coming through for me, okay? So with that said, we are just going to get right into this. We're going to go in the same order that you listed your questions in your note to me. So the first thing you wanted to know was, will you be able to make a living from home so that you can leave your current job? Let me just start by showing you the cards that came out for this question. First of all, we have the Two of Wands, we have the King of Wands, and we also have the King of Pentacles. So right away, I have to say these are all very positive cards, especially the King of Pentacles here. You know, your main concern, of course, is whether you will be able to sustain yourself if you start working from home. And this card is very, very promising because Pentacles, generally speaking, these cards correspond to the earth element. They tend to represent the more material, tangible things in our lives, the physical. And so a lot of times these cards have real strong associations with, you know, career, finances, living situations, that type of thing. The King of Pentacles is the final card in the suit, and so the energy of this card, it's very solid, it's very stable, very secure. This indicates to me, you know, a high level of abundance, prosperity, especially in the realm of money, material things. So, you know, right away that tells me that you definitely have the potential to start making a significant income working from home. The Two of Wands here, this card talks to me about potential, opportunity. The twos in general relate a lot to choice, but wands are very action-oriented cards, and so a lot of times I see the Two of Wands here as like a decision that's already been made. Somebody that has already begun heading down a particular path. In this particular case, the card is, again, talking to me a lot about potential. I don't know if you already have something particular in mind that you are wanting to do, like if you're wanting to like start your own business from home or something like that. That's kind of the impression that I get with this Two of Wands here, because to me this card is really about like forging your own path, making your own way. But whatever the case, I do feel that this would be a good decision for you. And kind of jumping off of that, the King of Wands here, this is a card of success. The King of Wands to me is a very passionate, very enthusiastic figure. This card talks a lot about creativity, manifestation, inspiration. So, you know, if the King of Pentacles is talking about material, financial success, the King of Wands is more about success, okay, let me back up. I guess I should say the King of Wands is really more about like emotional fulfillment, satisfaction in that sense. Like, this card just shows me you having the opportunity to do something that you actually care about doing, something that you are perhaps passionate about, and just feeling really good about yourself because of that. Does that make sense? The oracle card that I pulled for this question is Go the Distance. So this card is really about persistence, endurance, you know, dedication to a goal, essentially. This card is pretty clearly telling me that this is absolutely an endeavor that you should pursue. I do want to mention with this card here, though, that let's see, how do I want to say this? I feel like it might take some time for you to actually start bringing in enough money that you can really sustain yourself, if that makes sense. In other words, your income could start out coming in kind of slowly, but then increase over time. Does that make sense? So especially if you're thinking about starting up like some sort of home business or something like that, you may not be able to leave your current job right away. It might be something that you have to kind of build up to a little bit. But like I said, I'm definitely seeing a lot of potential for you to be very successful working from home. So yeah, like I said, that looks like something you definitely should pursue. So, moving on to your next question, you wanted to know, will you ever find your true purpose for being here? So, we have some kind of interesting cards showing up for this question, I have to say. First of all, we've got the Knight of Swords. This card relates a lot to intellect, logic, reason. Swords cards in general also talk to me a lot about truth, clarity, insight, understanding. And so in that respect, the Knight of Swords sometimes is associated with like understanding of oneself, understanding of one's own mind, internal processes, etc. So, to me, this card indicates like a very reflective, contemplative kind of energy. We also have the Two of Pentacles here. This card talks to us about balance, trying to find a balance in a situation. It comes up a lot in situations where like somebody maybe is feeling kind of overwhelmed. Somebody is perhaps having trouble making a decision about something, trying to juggle many things at once. However, it can also signify curiosity, learning, in some cases like the pursuit of personal interests, that kind of thing. And then we have the Eight of Cups, and the Oracle card that came out for this question is Time to Go. So I'm showing you these two cards together because they're very similar to each other. Time to Go is fairly straightforward. This card talks about moving on from a situation, letting go of something, leaving something behind, and the Eight of Cups talks about the same thing. This is release. A lot of times the Eight of Cups comes up when, you don't necessarily want to walk away from something, you don't necessarily want to detach yourself from a situation, but it's necessary for some reason. So, how does all of that information relate to your question? The first thing that I'm getting is that in order for you to identify your purpose in this life, these two cards are telling me that it's going to be kind of important that you make some efforts to essentially do some cleaning or housekeeping in your life, so to speak. In other words, it seems to me like there may be some things, situations, perhaps even relationships in your life that are holding you back in some way, preventing you from reaching your full potential as a person, preventing you from growing as a person further. And this Knight of Swords is really talking to me about a need for some further growth for you. The Knight of Swords is really advising you to do some deep introspection. And actually, the Knight of Swords cards, generally speaking, sometimes have a very harsh, cutting kind of energy. So similar actually to the Eight of Cups and the Oracle card here, the Knight of Swords can also represent like cutting things out of your life that you don't need, or things that no longer are serving your highest good. But going back to that contemplative kind of energy, I would suggest meditating on what things you can let go of. I definitely feel like your job situation right now, I know you mentioned that it's quite stressful. I definitely feel like that is probably something that is holding you back, but it's like there's more to it than just that. Because this Two of Pentacles here is suggesting to me that your purpose relates to or can be satisfied through like something that you're already interested in. So, take some time to meditate on what paths seem to call you. Meditate on what you enjoy, what really interests you. Because when you are satisfying your life's purpose, you're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to be doing something that is uplifting and fulfilling for you personally. And so if you do those things, then I think, yes, you will be able to identify what you've been put here to do. But I really think the most important thing, at least at this point in time, is, identifying the things that you don't need at this time, and cutting those things out, because that's going to help you to achieve greater clarity, okay? The fewer distractions that you have, the fewer, negative or, draining presences that you have in your life, then the more mental and spiritual clarity you will be able to achieve. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and move on to your third question. You wanted to know how you can be healthy and fit. Essentially, what do you need to do in order to improve your health and well-being? So the very first card that is coming up here is the Nine of Swords. And this is interesting because this is actually tying in a lot with the message of this Eight of Cups and this Time to Go Oracle card. The Nine of Swords relates to anxiety, stress, overthinking things, really being stuck in your head, right? And actually, the Oracle card that came out for this question is Clean It Up. And this is also very, very similar to what I was just talking about a minute ago. Clean it up. This is all about getting rid of anything and everything that is not serving your highest good. For example, cutting ties with toxic people, detaching yourself, removing yourself from, situations that really stress you out or are very draining for you, whatever. That is what these two cards are talking about as well. So, yeah, it's I think gonna be really important that you make some decisions about what you need to keep and what needs to change in your life, because it just really seems to me like you have some ties, some connections going on that are holding you back, spiritually, but that are also impacting your physical health and well-being. Stress can majorly impact our health, and our mental health and our physical health are very closely connected. So these cards are really suggesting that when it comes to your health, that really you start with just focusing on your mental and emotional well-being. Like that's, they're showing me that that's where you should be placing most of your attention right now. But in addition to that, We also have the Six of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles here. So I think I mentioned this earlier at the start of this reading, but Pentacles are earth energy, right? The Six of Pentacles relates a lot to balance, reciprocation, and the Knight of Pentacles, this is kind of interesting because knights typically represent movement, they represent communication, offers being made, etc. These two cards are talking to me about taking advantage of all of the resources that the earth has to offer. And what that means, what I'm getting intuitively from that is, first of all, cutting back on processed foods as much as possible and eating, raw, unprocessed stuff, organic, that kind of thing. And I'm also getting that you might want to cut back on meat consumption if you eat meat, because it's kind of weird. Like in my mind, I'm just seeing all this green, all these like plants and vegetation, and it's just giving me this feeling like that's what you should be focused on with regards to your diet. If you like meat, this doesn't mean that you have to cut it out completely, but like I said, I would definitely suggest cutting back, especially on like red meat in particular. And, this oracle card is also kind of going along with this energy as well. Clean it up, this is kind of talking to us about cutting out things that you don't need, particularly, or in this case, from your diet. What is synthetic, what is not natural and pure, those are the things that can be done away with. So, I'm going to go ahead and move on now to your next question. First, though, let me move some of these cards out of the way. I get a little claustrophobic sometimes when my desk is full of cards like this. Okay, so the next thing you wanted to know: are you ever going to be truly happy and satisfied with your marriage? So the cards that we have here, first of all, we have the Queen of Swords, we have the Six of Cups reversed, and we have the Moon. So I want to start by talking about this Six of Cups. Actually, no, I don't. I want to start by talking about the Moon card, sorry. The Moon, this card talks about the subconscious, the unknown. This card can represent illusions, deception. It can, in some cases, also indicate that someone maybe is ignoring their intuition or not in tune with their intuition. And it's interesting because the oracle card that came out for this question is very, very similar. This is deep knowing. It is in the reverse. So in the upright position, this card is really about intuition. In the reverse, though, it is, like I just mentioned with the Moon card, it's, it can signify that someone is out of touch with their intuition, out of touch with their inner voice, or ignoring what it has to say to them. So with these two cards being here, it seems pretty significant to me. I get the impression that you maybe have already made a decision about your marriage, or you've already come to some kind of conclusion about your marriage, but you are maybe not feeling confident in that conclusion, or there is a part of you that is perhaps, in denial, wanting things to be different. Unfortunately, these other cards that are here, are not super promising. The Queen of Swords, this is a pretty solitary energy. This card gives me kind of a distant, icy sort of feeling. The Queen of Swords is very emotionally detached, even emotionally unavailable in some cases. There's a fly in here. Oh my God. Sorry. And then the Six of Cups in the reverse, a lot of times this card is about letting go of the past, letting go of, actually this is kind of following that theme that we've been seeing in this reading, that theme of letting go, that theme of release, releasing what you no longer need, releasing things that have served their purpose. In the upright position, a lot of times the Six of Cups is about something returning to you from your past or going back to something from your past. But the reversal is letting go. It's all about moving forward into the unknown. So, with all of that said, unfortunately, things are not looking super promising for your marriage moving forward. With this Queen of Swords being here, unfortunately, I just don't see, how do I want to say this? It's like there's a disconnect between the two of you. On the emotional level. It's like the two of you are just not quite in alignment with each other. And, maybe you were in alignment with each other at one point in time in the past, but it seems like you've perhaps kind of grown apart. Like you've started moving into somewhat different directions. And as a result of that, it's like there's a lack of true understanding in this relationship. Like there just isn't. I'm trying to figure out how I want to explain this, what I'm feeling here. There's like a disconnect on the emotional, but also I think spiritual level as well. And I feel like Spirit may be kind of pushing you to go your own way and allow him to go his own way. So if you have been wondering, or maybe intuitively feeling like maybe it's time to move forward, maybe it's time to move on, unfortunately, I feel like that's probably ultimately going to be your best course of action, just because I'm just not really seeing improvement within this relationship happening. On the contrary, this Queen of Swords honestly makes me think that there will be like more distance. Like the two of you are just going to keep growing further apart. And I know that this may not be quite what you were hoping to hear with this question, but that's the message that I'm getting for you. And so I hope it's helpful, and I hope maybe it gives you some confirmation of what you perhaps were already thinking and feeling. So, your final question: how can you truly find happiness? So, this last row of cards that we have here, first of all, we've got the Five of Cups, we have Death, we have the Queen of Cups, and the oracle card for this question is Message in a Bottle reversed. Message in a Bottle, this card talks a lot about communication, of course, specifically communication and messages from the universe, spirit guides, one's higher self. In the reverse position, this is actually very similar to the Moon and the Deep Knowing card that we were just talking about a minute ago. This can indicate that someone may be ignoring messages that they are receiving, or not paying attention to them. The Five of Cups, this card really talks about emotional discontentment, dissatisfaction, loss, It can also indicate like a pessimistic mindset, someone being very fixated on the negatives or on what is lacking in their life. The Death card is about endings and new beginnings. This is something coming to a close, one door closing and another door opening. It really represents like a very significant change or transformation typically. And then the Queen of Cups here, this card I relate a lot to self-love, self-care, empowerment, personal empowerment, and also the Queen of Cups is a very spiritual, very intuitive figure as well. So the message that I'm getting with these cards is fairly straightforward. It's honestly kind of recapping things that we've already discussed in this reading. In order for you to truly be happy and to truly feel fulfilled and satisfied in your life, there are some things that need to be released, surrendered, sacrificed. There are some endings that need to happen so that you can create space in your life for new energy to come in, better things to come your way, new opportunities, new possibilities. Some of these sacrifices are not going to be easy. Some of these things are going to be really difficult. Some of these processes are going to be very uncomfortable, but ultimately it will be worth it. This card, again, I just get this feeling like on some level, you already have like an understanding of some things that you need to do in order to free yourself, in order to find the pure happiness that you're looking for. But you may just be kind of questioning those feelings, or you may even be kind of, afraid to take that leap. The Queen of Cups here is a message to you that at this point in time, it's like you've reached a point in your life where you are now being asked to focus your attention solely upon yourself. It's time to put yourself first. That might be something that you're not used to doing, and that can be difficult to get used to if you're not. But it's time to start being a little bit selfish with your time and your energy. Spend more time alone. And that might sound kind of counterproductive, but it's important to have a real clear understanding of yourself so that you can learn to unconditionally accept yourself for the way that you are. And with that acceptance comes unconditional self-love. And self-love and, satisfaction with one's self is really important because, at the end of the day, the only thing that we really have, the only thing that we truly have that will never leave us is ourselves. It really feels like you're kind of on the edge of a really significant breakthrough in your life, kind of like you're at a crossroads right now, or you're approaching a crossroads, and you're really being asked to make the choice to either make these changes, clear away the old, surrender these, situations, connections, relationships, etc., that are not serving you, that are not contributing to your happiness. You can do that, or you can just continue on as you have been so far. And ultimately nothing will truly change. And you'll go on with this feeling like something is missing. There has to be more for me. So, Like I said, that message is kind of a recap of things we've already been talking about. So I don't want to I don't want to be like repeating myself. So I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. I hope this reading was helpful, and I hope that it gave you some insight into things. Um, if you need me to clarify anything that I talked about in this reading, if anything didn't quite make sense, was unclear, please let me know and I will do my best to do that. I'm not like a super articulate person, but I try my best. Especially because a lot of the messages that I get come to me just as like feelings, and sometimes it's a little difficult to translate the feelings into words in a way that will make sense. But anyway, just let me know if you have questions about anything. I will do my best to answer them. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for choosing me to be your reader today. I really appreciate it. I am wishing you all the best, and I hope you're staying safe out there. Bye.